One of the common criticisms of a lot of Christians is that we believe in a God of the gaps. What the God of the gaps idea is that whenever we don't understand how something works, we say God is in control of that, God is running that, it's a miracle. And as we discover more things scientifically, uh, we the gaps become a lot smaller, and so there's less things for quote for God to do, and therefore God becomes smaller and smaller as we learn more and more. And a lot of that tends to have to do with discussions about evolution and about the Big Bang and things like that. But evolution and the Big Bang and scientific inquiry, all of that is seeking to understand how the system works. But understanding how the system works doesn't in any way explain the system. Why is there a system to explain in the first place? That may actually be the greatest miracle of them all. Or if you're an atheist, the greatest mystery of all is, why is there a system for us to explain? Why was there all that energy compressed into a tiny space to go bang? And why, when it went bang, were there uh, principles in operation that would allow anything useful to come out of that? And if anything useful did come out of it, to actually have properties such that life could begin somewhere and that life could develop, etc. So the question isn't how can this system work? The question is, why is this system here at all? Another common criticism of Christians is the idea that God just is. So when Christians, especially those who argue against evolution or argue for the intelligent design model, they're asked, so who designed the designer? Essentially, we're being asked, so who made God? And we say, no one made God. And they say, yeah, okay. So you haven't answered it. The atheist viewpoint hasn't answered it either, because you still have to say who put all that energy there to go bang in the first place, or what. And there's no answer for that either. So we both have the same problem of what I call self-existence. He just is, or it just is. So the atheist is saying that the energy that just is created consciousness eventually, including the consciousness that I have in saying these words, and the consciousness that you have in being able to listen to them and agree with them or disagree with them. Or the Christian believes in consciousness that just is, that created energy, and then everything else was derived from that. So those of us who give these matters a lot of thought have a lot in common, regardless of which side we fall on this. We're we're both overwhelmed by the grand mystery of it all and find it extremely fascinating and want to learn and understand how it all works, why it works the way it does, why everything is as it is. And I think we can learn from each other. We can, even though we disagree, and it's a major issue. If we treat each other with kindness and respect, we can we can learn from each other. In a lot of conversations between Christians and atheists, I see a lot of mocking back and forth. And mocking is not really a form of rational reasoning. It's actually a form of appealing to emotion. Because if you mock and ridicule someone, you're trying to make them feel bad for thinking what they do, or feel embarrassed for thinking what they do, and hoping to spur them to cast that aside for your viewpoint. And I see that in both directions. I see people creating memes that completely mock the whole Big Bang evolutionary theory, and I see people creating memes mocking Christians for our naive belief in a all-powerful God. I think we're both better off if we dispense with the mockery and just have honest kind, rational discussions. So I would challenge both sides, as we said about the business of explaining the system, not just how the system works, but explaining the system. Let's have fair and honest discussions.